How are you?
Good, Kate. How are you doing?
Good. Oh, I'm so excited. This is going to be so much fun.
Yes, yes. I love to be able to chat rowing, and especially because we've known each other so long through rowing. So
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if we really need to talk about how long we've known each other because it ages us, but age is good too.
age is
Um,
good. All right.
but yeah, so why are we here, Adrian? What are we doing today?
Well, we're talking about rowing and why rowing is such a wonderful way to live your life. I mean, rowing, I guess you could say rowing is life. Um, from the idea of the fact that like rowing is fitness, rowing is community, rowing is it takes up a lot of life
Hmm.
sometimes. And I know that a lot of people kind of identify with the idea of like rowing's almost kind of like I don't want to say like the mafia or a cult, but we do kind of stick together. We run in our own circles. And I think that's kind of what we wanted to talk about because I think there's a lot of different things that kind of happen because you're a rower
Hmm.
and things you get exposed to, things that kind of um like shape your life. So
Yeah. And you said the word mafia, and I think if we explain a little bit, and that might give it a little more context, that where we met each other was SUNY Buffalo, right?
yeah,
And the Buffalo community is very comfortable with the idea of Bill's Mafia, which
Bill's
is just
Mafia.
this whole sense of community in the Buffalo area. And I think that extends to like the people that were ever associated with Buffalo. Like Buffalo still holds a huge place in my heart, even though I only spent 4 years of my life there. It's a very special place. Does not always get the best reputation, mostly just because of the weather and being a Rust Belt city.
Yeah.
But I know I'm very proud to have spent time there and to call it my second home. So,
Yes, definitely. Like it's such a wonderful place and so many great memories. And I think that rowing has a big stamp in Buffalo, of course, because of West Side Rowing Club. And if you grew up in Buffalo, like you played soccer, you did baseball, and you probably rowed at one point or another, or your neighbor rowed, or it's just such a huge rowing community and a long-standing rowing community. I wish I had the founding date for West Side like on the tip of my tongue
mm,
right now. Maybe I'll add that in post-production, like a little doodad with what year that was. But West Side Rowing Club has been producing rowers and Olympians for years and years.
yeah.
I know that the Boys in the Boat. If you read the
Hmm.
book, there is a shout out to the Buffalo West Side Rowing Club. They had a four in that Olympics that went, and
Yeah.
I think it's during the part of the book where I think they're on the steamship
Hmm.
and they're putting
Yep.
this stuff and I think that's where they mentioned West Side Rowing Club and the four that was representing from there. So like rowing goes way back
Hmm.
in Buffalo. And UB rowing in particular, I mean, when I started on the team, I started my freshman year and we were rowing out of West Side Rowing Club.
Hmm.
So I didn't know anything about rowing prior to coming to University of Buffalo. I only went to the meeting because my friend who lived on South Campus, her roommate was going to the meeting.
Hmm.
And I remember they passed around this clipboard at the meeting and I put my name on it like just to be nice because because I was a freshman and I didn't know any better. Like I didn't know like, hey, you don't have to write your name on this. If someone gives you a clipboard with a pen, listen up, kids. If someone gives you a clipboard with a pen, you don't necessarily have to put your actual real contact information on it, but I did. And
Hmm.
they called me and I think I don't know if they had I don't know if they sent an email. They may have sent an email. I mean, like I remember way back like I mean, if I'm dating myself, like Unix,
Hmm.
like
Yeah.
yeah, I got
I
an
remember
email about
Pine. Yeah, we had to log in on the computers. It was all like a black screen with green letters.
yeah. And I think that's where I maybe I got a flyer and I was told to like stand outside my dorm at a certain time and um yeah, that's kind of how it started for me. I know
Yeah.
how did it start
Yeah.
for you? How did you
So
yeah.
yeah, so that's how we know each other, right? So we met at UB. You were already there a year, and then I started at UB the next year. So you started in 96, right?
Yep.
And then
Yep.
I started that next fall. And that next fall was, I think, the official start. of when we were considered a varsity sport.
Yep. Yeah.
So I started rowing in high school. So my dad, and this can be a topic for another podcast someday, my dad does Irish rowing, which is kind
Oh,
of this like old school rowing boat, fishing boat thing, just like a rowboat, doesn't, fixed seat and all that. And he would do that down at the Corning Preserve, which is here in Albany. That's where I am now, near Albany.
yeah.
And he ran into a coach from Niskuna, and my dad said, I think my daughter should do that for the summer and sign me up for a camp. Didn't ask me if I wanted to do it, signed me and my cousin up. And at first I was like, I don't want to do this. I don't know anything about rowing. I was not really an athlete. I mean, I did some swimming, some cheerleading. But I never considered myself like I never would have thought to even join anything like that. But absolutely fell in love with the sport over the summer, had such a blast. And then they started a team that next fall that I was part of for the next 4 years of high school. So that's what I did. And then knew somebody through Niskuna rowing that was a freshman. So he was the same year as you,
Okay.
and connected with him about UB, and then started there the next fall. And yeah, and that's where we met. And
Yeah,
I
and
also,
I remember, like, they're like, "There's a girl who rode in high school who's coming," and I remember just thinking like, "Wow, that's amazing." Like, I remember, thinking like,
it's very
"Holy
unique.
smokes, like, she's a professional."
Yeah.
Like, she knows what she's doing, like, she's been doing this for a long time, like, it was a big deal because all of us, I mean,
Hmm.
a lot of us were very green, very,
Hmm.
very green. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It was fun that for I had a really good time. And then I ran into Mike Size at somewhere in Ellicott, and he was like buzzing around, and he was like trying to get everyone to come to that meeting. And I remember like, okay, like, yes, I'm going to that meeting. I'm already planning on joining, but you or your energy, I'm definitely going to this meeting because this seems like a fun group.
Oh my
So
goodness.
yeah,
It was,
and it
I mean,
was.
yeah, I mean, it was such an amazing time because the team was switching from being a club sport to being a
Mhm.
varsity sport. And as a club sport, like being a part of the club team, the men's and the women's team were very close together. Like they had the president, a vice president, treasurer, and a secretary. And between the two, like it was a mix of people from the girls team, people from the boys team. Like it it was really very student run, like 12 passenger or 60, was it 16 passenger vans? And
Mhm.
like, I think we drove to like that first spring break that I went to, like literally, like, I don't think my parents knew that I was like in the back of a van being driven by a bunch of college students down
Mhm.
to, I think, where did we go? We went to
Augusta.
Augusta. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yep.
that was, and Augusta sounds fancy if you've never been down there, but if you've been down there, you know that it's like really just the golf course that's fancy and everything else is like very normal and kind of, yeah, an interesting
Yeah, interesting. We'll
place.
say interesting. Yeah, we're not going to
Yeah,
offend
yeah, 'cause
anyone here. It was,
yeah.
yeah, bucolic. Is that the word? I don't know, but
Yeah, I mean, like, it was just like I don't wanna say like a comedy of errors, but, like, I mean,
mhm.
all of us driving down, I mean, that's a long drive. I mean, it
Yes.
probably took us, like, it was probably 17 or 18 hours or
Mhm.
something like that,
Yeah.
and then we got there, and we were at this hotel, we were like, we'd go out and grab food at the grocery store, then we had these practices, it was just,
Mhm.
it was very grassroots, like, I remember, like, putting in orders for jackets, and like you would have to like help with like getting the order in, and like, and what are the designs going to be, and like it was very, like, the team had a lot of control over what was done. And then when the girls went varsity and then the boys stayed club, it became two very separate entities.
Yeah.
In a, I mean, and it was still a good relationship between like the actual rowers. I think it created
Mhm.
a little bit of conflict, if to
Mm.
the way I remember it, but we still were all common ground as far as the rowing. And then I think we stayed at West Side for 97, right? We were there at West Side. And
Yeah, so for what I remember, I think I was there my whole first year, and then I think I can't remember. I think it was sophomore year was the year that we were rowing from the trailer
From
and
this trailer.
trailering the boats half rigged every day down to
Yeah.
Veterans,
And I give
the
credit to
airplane
that.
hangar set up.
Exactly. Like I totally credit that with the fact that like I can rig in like 5.5 seconds. Like it like rigging a
Yes.
boat is like and when people do
Yes.
it wrong, I like secretly it drives me bonkers. I'm like, how could you not like you got to do it right? Like because
Yes.
it was so important to us because I mean we literally were de-rigging every day.
Yep.
And if you didn't set it up right, like
Hmm.
that ruined practice. Like you were done. So
Yeah.
and like have the idea of having your own tools and knowing your way around the boat in that sense, and then being able to like tie a boat down, like
Hmm.
reliably tie a boat down, like
Hmm.
everybody. I feel like everybody on the team knew how to do it. I mean, like I know
Hmm.
that. I mean, those that's where I learned like all my basic skills. Like I know when I was coaching, like I was very big on the fact that like you need to know how this rig works, like, and you
Hmm.
need to be able to if it looks wrong, you need to be able to tell your coach that it is wrong. Um,
Right. Right.
because I mean, you've probably gone to a regatta too, where you've seen somebody rig a boat backwards.
Oh yeah. Yeah, actually, we were, I think, following a trailer, my daughter and I, on the thruway this summer, and we
Oh,
were headed to Henley, to Canadian Henley,
mhm.
and it wasn't necessarily that a boat was tied wrong, but we were in traffic, so we were stuck behind this trailer with nowhere to go, and going slow though. I mean, we were moving,
Yeah.
and it had one of its bow caps hanging and just
Oh,
blowing all over the place and hitting the side of the boat. And it's like, oh my God, this is driving us so crazy. We just want to like get out and like
do
screw
you
it
want to
back
be
in or tell them somehow without freaking them out. But
like the
yeah.
dangling stuff from the boat?
Uh,
Or the
yeah.
seat that's like half on and half
Oh,
off, like kind of
yeah.
like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that type of stuff drives me nuts. Or
Mhm.
like when people don't like give a good, like a nice little tighten to the
Mhm.
bolts. So then you come home and you've lost all your bolts, like
Oh, yeah. Maybe
that kind of
that's how it happens. I always wondered. It's like,
you gotta, I mean, you don't want to crank them down. Like you
yeah.
don't want to like
Yeah.
go crazy with it, but I always give it a half tool turn
Hmm.
just to make sure that all that hardware is there because I mean, now that I have my own boats,
Oh,
like
yeah.
I'm not losing any bolts.
Hmm.
Like it's not that they're like super expensive. It's just like you got to get online and go to McMaster Car, and then you got to figure out what size you need, and it's a
Yeah.
pain and a half. So I'm all about like keep all your equipment. I'm gonna tape down the bow cap and like I'm gonna make sure that my seat is double bungeed
Hmm.
and make sure my riggers are like all tied up nice and neat and my slings too. I'm very protective over my slings also.
Hmm.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
I don't leave them at the
Oh
boathouse. Like
God, no.
yeah,
No, you wouldn't want to do that. There's certain things that, yeah, you wouldn't want someone else using and abusing and yeah.
exactly. And I think we learned all of that because
Hmm.
we were working with the trailer like every
Hmm.
single day. And then once that pole barn got set up,
Hmm.
like I forget, like, is that when we started getting new boats? I remember there was like a
Yeah,
whole
we had a
bunch
bunch
of,
of like politicians and everybody that gave us money so we could have like two or three new boats.
yeah.
And that's what we used. I mean, it served us well for the time, right? And was great. And then we had a parent donate some money and
Mhm.
we were looking for that boat recently.
I'm still looking for it. So if anyone's listening to this and you know where the Nicole Lynn Casvin is, it's a Vespoli 4 from 2000 with white with blue pinstriping. So like every single Vespoli 4
Yeah.
from the time. But if you know where that boat is, I will buy it from you. Like
Mhm.
so please.
It's a stern cox, right?
It's a stern cox. So, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
So,
old school. I love a
yeah.
good stern cox, don't
Well,
you?
sure. Well, I think for, especially for younger kids. So
Oh yeah.
this is one thing I definitely wanted to make sure we covered is like our hats that we've worn in the world of rowing and like how the different ways that we've engaged in the rowing world. But I am a parent of now two rowers. I also married a rower. Um, and he was a coach and I was a coach at the time. That's how we met. But my son, who is now a middle school rower, they have a whole mod, they call it the modified program at the middle school level, and they only scull. I think they may use an oct once, I don't know how often the oct goes out, but
Oh,
they
that's
have
so cool.
like 47 kids, so I'm sure they must use it at some point. And then it's all quads, and most of them, although I don't think all of the time, I think they sometimes get the more advanced kids out in the bow steering,
Mhm.
like without the coxswain boats. But
Yeah.
he, so yeah, so they have those mods out there, and most of the time you want them having a coxswain. But a lot of boats are bow, which is great when you're racing as a high schooler. But when you're a mod and you're a middle schooler and you're learning and you kind of have to see what's happening, right? Like it, and
Mhm.
you're kind of in charge of that boat. So it's a lot easier to see what's happening with the whole boat. So the stern would be very helpful, but I don't think we have a lot of those.
Yeah, the stern cocks are, I mean, they're out there, but I mean, a lot of people prefer the bow cocks, and I just, as far as like you said, for the teaching aspect of it, I think
Mhm.
that it's just so much better with the stern cocks, and I think that it helps between that communication between the stroke person and the
Yes.
coxswain, because it
Mhm.
it builds a verbiage, it builds a look, the ability to kind of know what's going on, and I think um a stroke who doesn't have to stare somebody in the face for 2 hours, like I just, I question their ability to, like, to really, like,
Yeah.
to handle
Well,
themselves. I think there's something about staring that coxswain in the face the whole time,
yep.
and, like, and being comfortable with that, and I mean, that's a great life lesson.
Well, and God forbid the microphone goes out, right? Or the speakers go out. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
everybody is just in the dark and the silence and nobody knows what's happening. So,
Exactly,
yeah.
exactly. And from my, point of view, like, so I have 4 kids, but none of them row. I
Mhm.
have tried to get, my daughter into the double with me, and she's the only one who actually seems to enjoy it,
Okay.
but she's got way too many activities. She's like, "I'm
Mhm.
not gonna row quite yet." So, I don't know, I've got the double now and I've got the single, so I'm hoping that maybe I can convince somebody to come rowing with me. But right now, as far as like my connection with rowing, so I'm a physical therapist, and just within the past 2 years, I've opened my own physical therapy clinic for rowers. So I treat rowers, and I also do a little bit of rowing coaching too. So it's physical therapy and rowing performance coaching. And I've coached many years in juniors and in masters, and never at the collegiate level. I mean, I've done
Mhm.
a lot of like special guest kind of things at colleges just recently with what
Mhm.
I'm doing with the clinic. But of course, that's where all my rowing, real rowing racing experience is,
Mhm.
from the collegiate level. So I think that having worn all these different hats, it really informs how you perceive rowing and how
Mhm.
you go into the next step, and now being a master and
Mhm.
rowing and like getting like the handicap, I'm like, this is amazing.
I know, and it just gets better from here, right? I know.
Continues to get better. Like, who doesn't want to be involved in a sport that like really respects the fact that, like, yeah, you're
Mhm.
getting older, you may not have as much time to train, so we're gonna
Mhm.
give you a couple seconds here
Right.
or some people get like a minute. Like
Mhm.
it turns into like an incredible amount of time. And sometimes
Mhm.
I think to myself, like, the competitive version of me comes out and I'm like, oh, I want to beat him on raw time.
Mhm. Yeah.
Wanna beat anybody, I wanna beat them on raw time, but, like, I am definitely still gonna scoop up that medal if they give it to me because of my handicap, so
Oh, please. I was so excited to get a third place medal at the head of the fish, and there was three of us in my category. So
love it,
yeah,
love it.
I was super happy to just finish that race. That was my first time in the single. It was a few years ago. And that's when I first realized that it wasn't just me getting back into the sport. So if you look at any race that masters do,
Mhm.
look at the 30 to 39-year-old category and then look at the 40 to 49 category and then the 50 and on and on. You're
Yeah,
not gonna, it's not gonna be this like slow, like let off. It's that the mom age is where
Yep.
you don't see anybody else out there because that was, like I said, it was three of us. And I think it was my last year being in my 30s. And in the 40 to 49 category, probably had about like 10 or 12 people.
And we have to do a podcast episode just on that, just the
Mm,
idea of like how we can get the moms to
hmm.
the boathouse, how we can
Yeah.
make like rowing, like what do boathouses need to do to make it more accessible? I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
babysitting or even just
Hmm.
like distance teams, like using
Hmm.
something like Crew Lab to keep people together and keep them training, and then maybe they only meet once or twice a month. But
Yeah.
I think that there's definitely space for those women and community and fitness, and the idea that there's so many people coming out of college who get
Hmm.
rowing experience in college, or people who only do high school and then
Hmm.
don't do college, like having a place for them too.
Yeah.
Young professionals being
Hmm.
able to continue to row even when they start to have kids, because it's, as we all know, it's very time consuming.
It is.
At
Yeah. You
the
can't just
boathouse.
do it, like you can do yoga in your living room or something, or put your sneakers on and go for a run outside. Like it takes some time to get to a boathouse, or, if you even have one nearby. But yeah, actually, this is the first winter that I actually really enjoyed being inside on the erg. And I think it had all to do with just the group that we were with, and we had a good coach, and just having that one person. I mean, he is much younger than most of us, but he, had a good plan for us. He kept us focused, not goofing off, which we were doing a lot of before that, self kind of directed stuff. And it really was kind of a fun experience. And don't think I ever would have thought I would say that about spending time on the erg in the gym again, but it was a lot of fun.
Oh, I mean, that's good to hear, because I mean, we need those types of experiences, like for people to enjoy being on the erg, that it's not a chore. And I think like erging with community
Hmm.
makes such a difference. Like I have
Yeah.
a Wednesday morning erg class that I host at the boathouse, and it's kind of it's a ragtag bunch of
Hmm.
friends, and we get together, and it's about being together. I mean, a lot of times, we turn the music down sometimes and we're just talking. We're just
Hmm.
catching up. I mean, of course, we're getting, at least 40 to 45 minutes of erging in, but
Hmm.
it's an opportunity for people to catch up for the week. And,
Yeah.
erging kind of, it does lend itself to that community moment if you're kind
Hmm.
of open to it. And you can still get a great workout in,
Yeah.
but I think that it's just a really great way to keep people moving. So,
Hmm. Yeah, definitely.
yeah.
Yay.
Yay.
All right. So do we want to wrap this one up with our side goal of this whole thing, which
Yeah.
is like trying to figure out and help, if we can, what's going on with UB rowing?
Yes.
Did you find anything out?
I haven't found anything out. I did send a message to a contact, so I'm gonna look real
Hmm.
quick and see if she wrote me back, and not yet. But maybe on our next episode we'll be able to give some more updates. Um I know
Yeah.
that you had talked about how important University of Buffalo is to the
Hmm.
SUNY system, because it acts as this very large school that offers
Hmm.
all sorts of college opportunities. And I'll let you speak to this because this is your forte of knowledge. Why is it so important that UB has rowing?
So I work in a college, a 4-year school in New York State. So, and it's an engineering school, but it's a private school. And I know that a lot of people are looking for engineering programs and in New York State. So they're a New York State resident, they want an engineering program. Um, Really, there's the two main SUNY schools. There's definitely others, like I know SUNY Polytechnic has programs, and there's others that have engineering as well. But the two main ones, and UB by far has more of the engineering programs, but also Binghamton. They're the two centers through SUNY. very large campuses. And so a lot of students are looking for those programs. Now, Albany has just started a program for women. I don't know when they're officially starting as a team racing and all that, but it's a brand new program. They do not offer engineering. Well, they may have like one or two, but not a lot.
Okay.
And so it really limits students that want to stay in state in a SUNY school and do, primarily engineering. But I mean, UB has so many majors. So like really anybody. And it has, health sciences, a lot of students are looking for that as well. And, like I said, so many programs. But if they want to row, right now we don't know what's going on with the team. And it's such a shame because there's so much potential, so much demand from what I could tell. And so many people who've gone through the program. I mean, you and I were talking that I can't believe it because it happened like since we've left, but 20 years at a varsity sport at SUNY Buffalo, right? It existed, and 20 years of what do we think? Like 50 people on the team, maybe, give
Yeah,
or take.
yeah.
So
Like we said, like it was like 1,000 people. Like
a lot,
there's
a lot.
there's a lot of people out there who had that experience there, and it should be something that any kid who's looking for to go to UB should be able to have and enjoy. It's not like there aren't waterways and I mean
Yeah,
the boathouse is so close to the actual like campus. It's
yeah.
just yeah. I mean some facilities. I mean when we were at West Side, I mean that was a good 20-minute, 30-minute drive to get to West Side from the North Campus
Yeah.
and so we were in Tonawanda Creek Park. I mean, it was like,
Mhm.
yeah, it was like 10 minutes. That
Yeah,
was amazing. So, I mean,
definitely. Yeah.
and the opportunity to have that experience for other kids
Mhm.
would just be amazing. So if
Yeah,
you
and
know if anyone who's listening, if you know
anyone
anything
who is.
about the UB rowing team and
Mhm.
how we can help
Mhm.
and about their current status, we'd love to continue with our UB updates, and that'll be kind of
Mhm.
our little closing spot each time. We'll be adding just a little bit more to the story, and hopefully more kids are getting out on the water representing UB this year.
Yeah. Every podcast that I enjoy has something that like hooks you in, right? You want to know what's going to happen. Like we have plenty of things to talk about, don't get me wrong,
Mhm.
but this is the one thing we want that's kind of like our long-term goal is to find out information, see how we can help, see how other people can help. Um and we do know a little bit about what's happened over the last few years, which, people can come on and talk about it if they want,
Mhm.
share whatever they think could be helpful. And if we can clear the air, get rid of some red tape while we're at it, I mean, that would be great. A little
Yep.
idealistic maybe, but we'll try, right? We're gonna
We'll
try.
try. Yeah, we're here for it.
Yeah. Hmm.
We know how important it is. It's been so
Yeah.
important in our lives that like it not being something that is thriving at the university is something that we should help.
Yep.
So definitely.
And we're not affiliated with the university anymore other than being alumni.
Other
So
than being alumni, that's it.
we don't have to worry about rocking the boat, so to speak.
Exactly. There's yeah. Our boats are in other lakes and rivers. So
Yep. Yep.
well,
All
Chris,
right.
it's wonderful speaking with you today. I
Yeah,
look
you too.
forward to us chatting more about rowing. If people out there listening to the podcast, please comment and like and subscribe and share. And if there's something in particular you want us to chat about, please let us know. And if you would like to come on and chat with us, please let us know. We're open to that too. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Cool. All right.
All right.
Thanks.
Bye bye.